Hi everyone, welcome to the end of week 6 of the spring semester. I'm almost finished grading your first response papers. I should have them done by tomorrow morning. But please don't just look at the grade. The grade is just a number. If you want to improve your writing, you want to go back and look at the comments. Now to find them, you go back to where you turned in, which is under the research writing module, and click on that little R1 turn it in link, and then it will pull up your paper along with my comments. There'll be general comments along the side, and then there'll be specific comments in your paper. If you have any questions about my comments, please be sure to ask. I want to make sure that we're clear on those. If you have a specific question about the specific points, it's best if you'll copy and paste, maybe copy and paste the entire sentence or the entire paragraph. Send it to me in an email, and let me know what you'd like to know, and I can get back to you as quickly as possible. Probably the most common comment that I've made so far is the fact that the title of a long poem, short poems go in quotation marks, long complete poems, which are published separately, go in italics. It's like the name of a play or the name of a novel or the name of a movie. The other is your thesis. The last sentence of the introduction has got to, one, clearly answer the research question, and two, be the main idea of the paper. So if you're talking about Enkidu's death, then your paper doesn't need to mention Gilgamesh very much at all. You want the entire paper to focus on the main point and make sure. I had an interesting experience. It took me about 3 times to figure out which topic this one student was writing about. So be sure that it's clear which topic you're writing about, and be sure the entire paper sticks to that topic. Now, for your second paper, they're not due Sunday, March the 20th, so that's the Sunday after spring break. But you are more than welcome to go ahead and do these before spring break. You don't have to wait and work over these over spring break. You'll have plenty of time to do them before spring break. But this is going to require a lot more focus. I gave you some help on the first one to kind of narrow down the topics a little bit, but on the second one, you're going to have to do a lot more of that on your own. If you're going to write about the parable of the cave, which is an interesting, fascinating philosophical foundation, you're going to want to look at, well, there's lots of things you do in the parable of the cave, but what is enlightenment? Why is knowledge painful? Why would people rather be chained up looking at the shadows or the symbolism? Oedipus the king, again, there's a lot there to do. You might look at the role of the chorus. You might look at, of course, irony. Now be aware of situational irony. There is a little bit of irony of death here, but situational irony, that's where the audience knows something the characters don't. Well, of course, that's huge in this play because the audience knows throughout the play. Even if you weren't familiar with the story of Oedipus Rex, the story you're going to figure out pretty quick. In fact, Oedipus seems to be pretty much in denial through most of the play. The evidence becomes pretty clear early on, and he's still like, no, 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 that can't be true. So, maybe Oedipus's denial or the role of, or Jocasta's denial. There's a lot going on there. Sappho, there's not as much to do there. That would be easier to limit. Maybe just why she's considered one of the great poets of ancient Greece. Maybe what some of her main topics are. Again, not a lot to work with, but okay. Let's talk real quickly about the PowerPoint called the Greek Unities. I think yours is called the New Greek Unities or Greek Unities of Drama New or something like that. But you got to remember that in ancient Greece, plays like the one we're reading were big, important things. Kind of like, and they would have these competitions to determine which play was best or which plays were best. Kind of like our Super Bowl. I mean, it was a big, huge deal, and their culture, their society really took this to heart. So a guy named Aristotle said, well, if you're going to look at which play is best, you got to have some rules. And so he wrote these rules, which we call the Greek unities. The unity of time, basically means that everything in the play takes place within about 24 hours. That's why in Oedipus Rex, Oedipus the King, there's a couple of times where something has to happen, but it has to be set up beforehand. Jocasta says, oh, we really need that one shepherd. Luckily, I sent for him several days ago, and he should be getting here. Oh, look, here he is now. So, a little coincidence, a little bit of manipulation by the author there to get everything to fit within 24 hours. Another one of the Greek unities is unity of place, means everything has to take place in one place, and it does. This all takes place on the front, well, no, the front porch of the temple and then the inside. Now, of course, he lives in the temple. This is his home. But yeah, it's all right there at the temple. Unity of time, unity of place, and unity of action means there's just one plot. There are no subplots. A subplot generally is where the minor characters interact with each other. And you don't see that a lot. You don't see Tiresias interacting with Creon. You don't see Creon interacting with Laius in any meaningful way. So there's not a lot of second-hand stories going on here. You should know that tragedy was considered the highest art form. It comes from the word goat song, and we have no idea what the connection there is. You may run across a video or something online that explains the connection between goat song and the word tragedy. Truth is, we don't know. 90% of the ones I've read, of the sources I've looked at, said, you know, there's no understandable connection, there's no clear connection. Some people say, oh, you know, it comes from the same word, or a word that sounds the same, or a transliteration, or something like that. And that may be true, but to be honest, we don't really know for sure. But anyway, tragedy was considered the highest art form, mostly because it provided catharsis, a purging of emotions, which, by the way, is a psychological theory that we still hold with today, characterized by seriousness and dignity. Comedy is not necessarily funny. When we think of comedies, we think of funny movies, but it didn't have to be funny in ancient Greek theater. You simply had characters that started low, or average, or medium, and they moved up. They got more intelligent, they got richer, they got married, they became rulers or noblemen. And then you had satyr plays. Now, these were funny. These are very physical comedies. If you've ever seen The Three Stooges or Bad Grandpa or any of those movies like that, they use slapstick and poking people in the eye, and lots of America's Funniest Home Videos has a lot of satyr play elements in them. Themes include drinking, overt sexuality, pranks, and general merriment. Greek theater is really fascinating. Of course, their culture was fascinating, but they had something called a Dionysian mystery, which is a ritual that allowed marginalized groups to get involved. And they're kind of underground, they're kind of a subculture, not illegal. The authorities allowed this to go on, but these groups of foreigners or aliens or minimized groups or slaves or women would get together. They would sing and dance and get drunk and take drugs, narcotic-like drugs, and really have this kind of mystical or mythical experience. And the fact that the people in charge, the rulers of the society, allowed this to go on kind of showed that they realized these people need something like this in order to have halfway fulfilled lives. It is very fascinating. Okay, we did that, and then there's a little picture of Shakespeare, which has absolutely nothing to do with that particular PowerPoint. Anyway, good luck. Let me know if you have any questions at all.